real estate has wickedly changed the last 10 years when you look at the way you consume media with real estate. We're going to talk about it. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael BURGIO, Mark Novak, episode 440. This morning, we're going to be talking about media consumption, how we consume from your mobiles, your radio, television, desktop computers. What are the trends we see, and what does this mean for real estate agents out there and even purchasers? Mark, good morning. Steve, Sean, good morning.
Chief. It's wickedly changed, hey. It is wickedly changed. And I think if you look back, like I was at an open, I was showing a property yesterday and the landline rung, the phone.
What's that?
And I was looking at I was looking at going, that's weird. And it kept ringing. I'm thinking, someone's on the other end of that ringing. And I thought, like, that would have just been 10 years ago. That would have just been so friggin' normal. And now it was just weird. So there's a lot of stuff that's happened when it comes to these things that you're talking about that we just sort of take for granted. There's just been this rapid change.
Yeah, and let's bring up what stemmed the conversation. I'll bring up this graph which shows it, because I think we all know there's been big shifts, but until you see it like this, it's insane. Okay, let me bring this up. So, I'll talk. So, who wants to buy an apartment? Where's it now? Let me bring it up.
That looks like the building in New York. Is that in DY?
Oh, yes, it is. I'm glad you asked.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, media consumption this is up till 2021, from 2011. So, Mark, this is only 10 years. This is very, very reasonable for every people to relate to. We're not going back to the 70s. So on the left, you can see the hours a day consumed, which is insane. Like, we're consuming basically 9 hours of content a day. So that's 9 hours less human reaction.
Really?
So we've got, out of the categories, we've got magazines down the bottom here, radio, TV, desktop computers, and mobile. So we've got magazines, 24 minutes, down 50%, radio down 19%, TV down 24%, desktop computers up 25%, but the holy grail, mobile devices up 460%, 9 hours a day, 9.5. If you lease a Novak, that's 14 hours. Myself, I think.
So, Michael, by looking at that, there's like people are spending 4.5 hours on their mobile in a day.
Yeah.
That's just nuts.
Well, Mustafa, good luck, Lisa. G'day, Sean. Haven't heard of a landline for a long time. Same. Luke, love the change closer to people. Yeah. Podcast. Yeah, podcast is huge. I reckon that would be worked into the mobile figures. Sean, we got rid of our TV couch 8-9 years ago. Now so much less negativity coming to. That is so true. A lot of the mobile is clickbait, angry headlines to get people angry to click on it. People still listen to radio. Yeah. So, Mark, what does this mean? Tell the people.
Well, look, I reckon. Just observations, and I love everyone's feedback on this. But I am very interested to tie it back to real estate. But if you do look at the way how a mobile phone looked and how a mobile phone carried on 10 years ago. So 10 years ago is 2011. 2011, I think we were sitting on the first iPhone. If you look at how it all carried on at that time, it was very rigid. was very archaic. You would use it for phone calls only. You could do stuff, but it was quite.
Yeah.
you could you could do stuff, but you couldn't quite get around on it. Now, I was in a branch, the Westpac branch, talking to the lady about the type of transactions that they're doing in a Westpac branch, and it was really interesting that she's really only getting. And I said, "Is it young or old?" She said, "No, all the old people now, have their phones and they're doing all their banking on their phones." So that's even crossed over to phones now, where people's transactional banking is all being done not in a branch, but there. But she said she just gets the complicated transactions. So maybe it's a question on a particular part of a mortgage or that sort of stuff. They're not really getting that money in, money out transactional like they used to. People coming in with heaps of coins. So people are paying, with their phones. In our particular industry, what's interesting is I think the take up for digitally logging in's been very slow. I would have thought people could come in and QR, their name and number and come into an open house. That's been very slow. But what's really different is if you're a real estate junkie and you just love talking about property, you've now built your own channel on your phone. Not only have you physically built that channel, as in with icons and what apps you like to go into, but you've conveyed that to Google and you've conveyed that to Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp. That's your passion, and they are regurgitating that shit all the time to you. So then you're rewarding them with spending more time on those sites. So how you brought up that graph. The interesting thing is that 9 hours is half of that is on your phone. It's all about you. That is all about you. All the other stuff you had to chip in and chip out to see if you wanted that, if that data matched.
TV ads, you couldn't control them. You couldn't control the next program. It is what it is. No. Radio, very much similar. We were sort of forced to consume what they had chosen, and sometimes you like stuff, sometimes you didn't. Magazines as well. You're 100% right. From let's say of 9 hours previously, let's say if it was all TV, radio, magazine, we may have only been interested in 20% of the content. Now we're getting 9 hours of basically jam-packed. Are we interested in cars, real estate, everything to do with it? It's just highly targeted, as what you're saying for us. And I think you made a good point. I just thought about it then, about when you made comment to the older people. I think even older people, 60, 70 or 80, are getting so much more tech savvy from where they were 5, 10 years ago on social media. Like I've got a lot of aunties who are above 70 on social media. I even see a lot of clients, especially in commercial purchasers, a lot of time a lot older. They've got the realestate.com app downloaded. They've subscribed. They're seeing properties on social media. Morning, Nikki. I definitely feel the older population is really jumping on board. I reckon. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, and don't forget what people don't realise is that media consumption is you're actually surrounded by. So when you actually read that sort of data about how much and guys, if you've just tuned in, we're talking about how much media has changed in real estate the last 10 years, or just how much consuming media has changed. But that's 1-to-1. So when you read that graph, that's 1-to-1. And what I mean by that is that's how much you're spending on average. That's how much Michael's spending. That's how much Mark's spending. But what starts to happen is you start to get like a surrounding effect. And allow me to give you an example. Auntie Betty doesn't use her phone at all, but everyone around her is doing what that graph indicates. That changes Auntie Betty's world. Because the way those people have educated themselves, consume media, and what they do suddenly. So to give you an example, I know we've made a couple of cracker sales where the person says, I found it on social media. And it's like, you found it on social media. It's like, no, my granddaughter did. And it's like, shit. So it's happening even if you're not an active user or active pursuant of media or social media, all that sort of stuff. You are getting affected by it, like it or not.
Yeah, and I think a good message here for especially agents out there who may have been a bit resistant to jump on social media for marketing properties and content, because they may have thought there's just so much out there, who's going to find me, or like it's just too much on the web. But now you can have so much confidence that the algorithms behind these platforms, if you have good content, it will be shared. They want to share your content. They will find people who are interested. So instead of like resisting the platforms, thinking, oh, it's not for real estate, the platforms will find people interested in what you have to say. And that's insane. You never used to have that before. You would have had to put an ad in the paper, and that just goes to everyone. It's like such a broad brush. It's not targeted. Now we post something about real estate, Facebook will find people interested in real estate and send them our information. That is so powerful when it comes to marketing properties for sale, putting content like we do, Mark, online here. But I also think this is just, if people weren't sold on adapting to mobile devices for their content, this is just like, you have to be. There are a lot of companies, and I'm sure we all know that when we're dealing with companies, that you go, do you have an app? And they're, oh, no. Or their website is not mobile friendly. It's annoying. It's just crap. We all know a website that doesn't do that. Or even how they've written their website out. Like, I know a big thing we've always done, Mark, is on our ads, we try and do short sentences, because when people are reading the ad from the mobile device, how annoying is it when you got to keep scrolling down, or it doesn't fit in perfectly to a screen, compared to some agents with long form essays as their text, and it's hard to follow while you're just skimming through your phone. So I think a big thing is, like, make sure your content is mobile friendly, and have
absolutely. And allow me to put in context what we're speaking about today with media. 30 years ago, I'm going to say to you, 40 years ago, see that black and white television there? Yes. That's going to listen to you. What?
Yeah.
That's going to listen to you. It's going to listen to everyone's conversation in the room, and then it's going to actually put on the channel what you guys are talking about and what you guys want. You'd feel some emotions.
Yeah. Tinfoil, where's your tinfoil hat? You're crazy. People would have thought, where's your tinfoil hat? You're crazy. The TV can't listen to me.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
So half of me would be going, no, that is rooted. I'm not going to do that. I will not allow that. It's a breach of privacy. That is ridiculous. The other half of me, being an uptaker of tech, would be going, that's sick.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
What I want. I want it.
Right, get what I want. So at the end of the day, really, it's put that black and white television in everyone's hands, and it's done exactly what I've just said it would do. And people are loving it. They're loving consuming it. So it's a win. Before we sign out, I think it's a win to people. Can I tell a quick story? But I don't mean to talk all the time, Burge.
That's right.
I had
sorry, Mark.
I had an Easter lunch with some friends, with family on my mum's on Sunday, and it was like the guys that just don't like doing any stuff on social media. They will not put in their location. The lady that I know the wife has just started using a little bit in social media, and she's like, I was out with 6 friends on the weekend, and we were talking about a particular garment that everyone was buying, and it was a couple $100, and she said, next thing you know, when I got home, I was on Instagram and that garment came up. I went on to Google, that garment came up. I went on to somewhere else and that garment came up. She said, that's so weird. I was like, yeah, that is like, it's exactly what's happening these days. Furthermore, I said to her, what, you don't reckon that they worked out that you 4 or 6 were sitting together? And she said, well, you're right, because we all went home together, so they're all sitting in the car together. So I said, all that analytics is all being used to make your life more interesting when you're on your mobile phone, so you spend more time on there.
Yeah, Facebook know when you're going to go to the bathroom. If you've seen the Netflix social media, what's the one on Netflix? Where they break down the social media platforms and all the stuff they do in the analytics, and they know if you have so they'll predict when you got to go to the bathroom based on when you're last at a restaurant. They'll predict if you haven't checked your phone in say 10 minutes and you normally check it every 10 minutes, they'll send you a little pop-up alert saying, hey, this person's here, or hey, this article. Like, they'll just, it's insane. Netflix, social media, Facebook, something. Watch it. It's insane. You almost want to throw
your now
but you love it.
I'm actually noticing in my daily phone calls, I'm noticing, and I'm probably me being a weirdo, but I'm noticing I see the interaction online, then I take the phone call.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know what I mean? So it's weird. Anyway, so for real estate, your agent's got to be a ninja on social
media. 100%. Alrighty, guys. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Mr. BURGIO.
There you go.